You have become an expert at silencing the world. You know the exact creak of the floorboard, the precise rhythm of the dust motes dancing in the singular shaft of afternoon light, and the way the shadows lengthen against the peeling wallpaper like ink spilled on a page. You tell yourself this is a sanctuary, a curated fortress of stillness where the chaos of the outside, with its unpredictable demands and sharp-edged futures, cannot touch you. But deep down, beneath the layers of carefully constructed isolation, you know the truth. You are not protecting yourself, you are preserving your own decay. You look at your hands, pale and unaccustomed to the sun, and you wonder if you still exist when there is no one around to witness your breath. This room is not a home, it is a museum of a life you have paused, a deliberate suspension of animation designed to stave off the crushing weight of tomorrow. You are terrified of the horizon because it demands movement, and movement requires the one thing you have buried under piles of stagnant routines, the courage to be vulnerable. The walls here have become your only confidants, yet they offer no solace, only a mirror of your own hollowed-out ambition. You spend hours observing the slow migration of light, tracing patterns that have no meaning, all while your mind cycles through the same frantic loops of overthinking. You calculate the risks of stepping out, the judgment in a stranger's glance, the failure of a conversation, the crushing weight of a decision that doesn't have a safety net. Every potential future is painted in colors of catastrophe, so you retreat further into the gray, comfortable gloom of your room. You have mastered the art of dissociation, turning your internal life into a frantic, high-stakes drama that no one else can see. Outwardly, you are a ghost, silent, predictable, contained. Inwardly, you are a riot of contradictions, screaming for a change you are too petrified to initiate. You analyze your own psyche until the concepts lose their meaning, transforming your genuine fears into intellectual puzzles just to avoid the raw, stinging reality of your stagnation. You fear the variables of life, the unpredictable nature of human connection, and the possibility that you might not be enough. So, you hold your breath. You wait. You convince yourself that staying here, in this dust-laden cage, is an act of preservation. You think that if you don't engage with the world cannot hurt you. But the silence is deafening, and it is carving out a void in your chest that grows larger with every passing day. You watch the outside world through the sliver of a window, observing the blur of people moving toward destinations you can barely fathom. You feel a sharp, stabbing envy for their capacity to simply exist without the constant, paralyzing need for absolute certainty. They trip, they fall, they pivot, and they continue. You, meanwhile, have constructed a life of preemptive grief. You mourn the failures that haven't happened yet. You grieve the relationships you haven't dared to form. You are mourning your own potential, burying it beneath the heavy blankets of your anxiety. The air in this room feels thin, recycled, saturated with the scent of unspent energy and unspoken regrets. You touch the cold glass of the window, wanting to break it, yet pulling your hand back at the last second, fearing the sharp shards might actually make you bleed. And you are so desperate to avoid pain that you have forgotten what it feels like to truly heal, to grow, or even to move. You are a captive who has fallen in love with the locks. You have become so adept at reading the stillness that you can no longer hear the rhythm of your own heart urging you toward the door. The irony is suffocating. By shielding yourself from the unpredictable nature of the future, you have ensured that your future is exactly the same as your miserable, stagnant past. You are decaying in real time, waiting for a permission slip from the universe that will never arrive. The comfort of the cage is the most dangerous trap of all, because it doesn't hurt immediately, it just slowly erases you until you are nothing more than a memory haunting your own furniture. You finally realize that this isn't about safety. It was never about the harshness of the outside world. It was about your own refusal to be a participant in your existence. You have been waiting for the fear to vanish, for the uncertainty to crystallize into a solid path, for the world to become safe enough for you to step into it. But the world was never meant to be safe. It was meant to be lived. You have spent so much time dissecting the anatomy of your own anxiety that you have missed the messy, beautiful reality of being human. You are not a masterpiece of preservation, you are a survivor who has forgotten how to live once the danger has passed. The door is unlocked, not because the threat is gone, but because the threat was always an internal projection, a ghost you fed with your own withdrawal. The bitterness of this revelation is heavy, settling into your bones like winter cold. You have sacrificed your life for the sake of avoiding the risk of living. Standing there, in the center of the room, you realize you have no more time left to spend on fear. The silence is no longer peaceful, it is a judgment. You look at the door, really look at it, and for the first time in years, the thought of the unknown doesn't just trigger panic, it triggers a faint, terrifying, and necessary flicker of hope. You are not ready to leave, but you are finally ready to admit that you are dying here. That is the first step out of the shadows. A safe grave built of silent walls. A living death waiting for the door to open.